The Chicago Bears have got a complete disaster brewing on their defensive front, sitting near the bottom of the league in sacks and dragging around a dead ugly 29% pass rush win rate. We're dissecting Tampa's 347-pound nose tackle Vita demanding a trade out of Florida, and Arizona's 12-sack edge rusher Josh Sweat as our immediate foundation. Then we're exposing the contractual reality behind that massive Blockbuster blueprint on the thumbnail, a 5-time Pro Bowl game wrecker who commands a 2-pick trade haul and's already locked in with Caleb Williams. But first, can I ask you a quick favor? If you're enjoying the content, just hit that like button. It helps us more than you think. Thank you so much. Word just leaked out that Tampa Bay's wrecking ball in the middle, Vita wants out of Florida and officially asked for a trade. That's a massive window opening up, and Chicago needs to jump on this before another contender sweeps in and takes him off the board. A 340-pound nose tackle who eats double teams for breakfast doesn't hit the trade block every day. If Poles doesn't pick up the phone immediately, he's sleeping at the wheel. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped the news on July 27th that Vita officially put in his trade request with the Bucs. Vita's hit with a deal that runs through 2027, but extension negotiations completely hit a brick wall, so he pushed for a trade out. Fowler even said it wouldn't surprise anyone if Vita sits out a huge chunk of training camp to force the issue, though that part's still up in the air. Even at 31 years old, Vita's been absolute nightmare fuel for interior offensive linemen ever since Tampa grabbed him in the first round back in 2018, and his tape isn't showing any drop-off. Pro Football Focus handed him a solid 72.8 overall grade last year, ranking him 20th out of 134 defensive tackles who qualified, and he racked up 22 solo tackles, 4.5 sacks, and the ridiculous 51 quarterback pressures in 2025. 51 pressures from a guy who weighs nearly 350 pounds is completely absurd. That's not just collapsing the pocket, that's throwing guards backwards straight into the quarterback's lap. Our inability to get after the quarterback last year exposed a massive structural flaw in this defensive scheme. ESPN's tracking metrics had us sitting dead ugly at 31st in the NFL with a brutal 29% pass rush win rate and 26th in run stop win rate at the same exact 29% mark throughout 2025. Dropping a monster like Vita right into the middle doesn't just beef up our interior group, it gives our edge rushers room to breathe and rack up sacks because offenses can't double team everybody. You can't expect Montez Sweat to win every single snap when team after team double teams him because our interior offers zero push. Put Vita in that A gap and suddenly edge guys are getting clean one-on-one runs all day. Opportunities to snatch up an interior anchor like Vita don't drop in your lap often, and with Chicago trying to build a real Super Bowl contender, this is the exact move you go all in on. Between his age and the fact that he's demanding a way out, Tampa's not getting a massive haul. A day 2 pick probably gets the deal done. At the very least, Ryan Poles needs to pick up his phone right now and see if the Bucs are ready to let him go. If you're holding on to a 2nd or 3rd round pick while your defensive line gets run over, you're miscalculating asset valuation. Draft picks are lottery tickets, but proven interior game wreckers deliver guaranteed returns. Vita barely missed the top 10 in ESPN's latest defensive tackles rankings voted on by league execs, coaches, and scouts, but he still grabbed an honorable mention spot. One veteran defensive line coach put it plain as day, saying he's still such a load to deal with and he played a little lighter last year, which is good for him. Anyone who watches tape knows those rankings don't tell the whole story. When a guy weighs 345 plus pounds and comes in lighter and faster, interior guards are in for a miserable afternoon. PFF analyst Thomas Valentine broke down Vita's 2025 season by stating, "It was business as usual for Vita in his 8th year in the league in 2025. Vita's been a constant at the heart of the Buccaneers defense and has compiled a PFF grade below 70.0 just once in his career. The stalwart was impressive again, notching 51 pressures and 4 sacks in 2025, and his 8 quarterback hits were the 2nd highest of his career.
Vea's run defense wasn't at his usual levels, but his activity as a pass rusher can't be ignored. He played 6 games with at least 4 quarterback pressures, and his 13.6% pass rush win rate was 10th among defensive tackles. A 13.6% pass rush win rate from a nose tackle ranking 10th in the NFL isn't just decent, it's pure disruption. Having a huge body who pushes the pocket right into the QB's face forces quick throws and leads to easy turnovers for our secondary. When a game changer like Vita Vea becomes available on the open market, keeping tabs on him isn't just an option. It's something Chicago has to monitor every day leading into the season. If we pass on a proven interior menace like Vea and our pass rush struggles again come September, the financial and structural fallout falls entirely on Poles' ledger. Fixing the interior with a monster like Vea is huge, but if you think our problems stop at defensive tackle, you haven't been paying attention to what's happening out on the edge.
Just 1 year after Chicago put up a miserable pass rush that ranked 7th fewest in total sacks across the entire NFL, management's deciding to roll the dice at edge rusher heading into 2026. Chicago still's got a few months left before the season kicks off to change their minds and grab an edge threat. And Logan Ulrich over at NFL Trade Rumors thinks there's a real shot Chicago actually pulls it off. Ulrich laid out a list of top landing spots for Arizona Cardinals edge defender Josh Sweat, and Chicago popped up right near the top of the board. If a guy with that kind of motor's floating around on the market, you don't hesitate. Putting Josh Sweat on the opposite side of Montez Sweat instantly fixes our biggest defensive nightmare. A trade to corner 2/3 of the NFL market on Sweats would give the Bears much more stability and proven production at edge rusher, Ulrich wrote. Imagine the absolute nightmare for opposing offensive tackles trying to handle the Sweat brothers coming off both edges on 3rd and long. Opposing quarterbacks wouldn't have a single second to breathe in the pocket. It would also be good for both players to be able to play off of each other instead of absorbing the extra attention from opposing offenses as the clear #1 pass rushers. As the Bears look to take another leap to real-deal Super Bowl contenders, this is a move they could explore to take them there, Ulrich added. That's the key right there. Montez hasn't had a legitimate threat on the opposite side to draw attention away since he got to town. Give him Josh Sweat and neither guy can be double-teamed, which means pure chaos for NFC North quarterbacks. Sweat's name's been swirling around trade talks all summer long after reports confirmed he wasn't happy down in Arizona. When a proven veteran edge rusher gets pissed off with a rebuilding franchise, that's blood in the water. Chicago needs to be the shark that swims in and takes advantage before Green Bay or Detroit picks up the phone. Ulrich pointed out that landing Sweat isn't going to come cheap. Chicago's likely looking at giving up a day 2 draft pick for Sweat, who's bagged double-digit sacks twice over the last 4 seasons, including a career-high 12 sacks back in 2025. A day 2 pick for a guy who dropped 12 sacks last season is an absolute steal in today's NFL. You can draft a kid in the 2nd round and hope he turns into something, or you hand over the pick for a proven 12-sack monster who's ready to hunt right now. Should the Bears trade for Sweat? Yes, the Bears should 100% pull the trigger and get a deal done immediately. There's zero debate here, folks. If Ryan Poles is serious about winning right now, this is a slam dunk move that changes the entire identity of our defense overnight. Coming off a monster season where Chicago captured the NFC North title and bagged a playoff win, this team's sitting on legitimate Super Bowl dreams and should throw everything they've got into maxing out those championship odds. We aren't rebuilding anymore. Our window's wide open right now while Caleb's on his rookie deal. Playing it safe with draft picks when you're 1 pass rusher away from a Super Bowl run is terrible roster management. Landing Josh Sweat across from Montez gives us an immediate edge fix, but if Poles wants to completely break the league and turn this defense into an unstoppable force, there's an even bigger nuclear option sitting out there in the trade waters. The regular season kickoff is barreling down on us fast, and Chicago's defense is still sitting here with massive red flags all over the field. We're running out of runway, and if management thinks this group's ready to hold up against high-powered offenses in September, they're kidding themselves. It's not too late for Ryan Poles to pull off a massive blockbuster trade if management actually has got the stomach to pull the trigger. The Bears at least reached out and checked in on Crosby back in March when he was put on the block. The Baltimore Ravens ended up outbidding the Dallas Cowboys before the whole deal got scrapped because Crosby failed his team physical in Maryland. When a five-time Pro Bowler hits the market, you make the call every single time. Most folks assumed the Crosby deal was dead in the water once he returned to Las Vegas, but Vincent Bonsignore over at the California Post pointed out there's still a real chance this five-time Pro Bowler gets moved before everything's said and done. You don't just erase bad blood and broken trade talks overnight because camp started. This is not some unrealistic pipe dream either, Bonsignore noted while breaking down a potential Raiders trade scenario right before Week 1. The same reasons that the Raiders traded Crosby to the Ravens in March are still in place. That hit the nail right on the head. A rebuilding franchise holding a massive star who wants to win right now is a powder keg waiting to blow. Crosby's got to prove his knee issues completely behind him during training camp before teams fork over the massive price tag to get him, which is looking like 2 draft picks, including a first-rounder, plus a quality young player. Giving up a first-round pick and a young player for a premier game wrecker in his prime is the exact kind of gamble Super Bowl contenders take. If Crosby proves he's 100% healthy and Vegas is ready to cut ties, just like they tried in March, Chicago needs to jump all over it and land a guy who instantly transforms our edge rush and elevates the entire defense overnight. Maxx Crosby's future out in Las Vegas is still totally up in the air, and noise about a trade to the Chicago Bears is heating up all over again. It's been a wild offseason for Crosby, who looked completely locked into joining the Baltimore Ravens before that medical check in Maryland killed the whole deal. Failing a physical over a knee issue isn't great, but if he's moving fluidly in camp, teams aren't going to care about March paperwork. The 28-year-old game wrecker went right back to Vegas and is trying to get ready for the season under his new coach, Clint Kubiak. Trying to learn a whole new coaching regime after your team almost shipped you out the door is an awkward situation for any star player. There's a ton of mess and uncertainty in Vegas, considering how much turnover hit that building since their last snap of 2025. When a franchise flips coaches and rosters like crazy, veteran leaders start looking for the exit door. NFL insider Adam Schefter dropped a bomb about a potential trade for Crosby if the Raiders flounder out of the gate before the November trade deadline hits. Chicago's sitting right at the top of the interested teams Schefter was addressing, which makes Crosby's past comments about our third-year quarterback Caleb Williams even more intriguing. What Adam Schefter said about Maxx Crosby to the Chicago Bears. Crosby's claimed publicly he's content in Vegas right now, but a guy with his drive wants to play for a franchise that's actually winning football games on Sundays. The Raiders are praying for a bounce-back year after staggering through a miserable 3-17 record last season. A 3-17 team doesn't turn into a contender overnight, no matter who's calling the plays. Crosby's universally respected as one of the top defensive ends in the whole league, yet he's wasting his best years completely locked out of the postseason as a Raider. I do think right now Maxx Crosby is in Vegas. I think that's their plan right now. But here's where I think it gets interesting. What if the Raiders are not winning regularly and we're coming up to the trade deadline in the first week of November? I think as the trade deadline gets closer, that's when we could start hearing Maxx Crosby's name again. I think that's when it might be time to start paying attention. Maybe I'm going to be surprised and they trade in the summer, but that's not what I'm expecting. It's not what I'm hearing. I think it changes if and when the season starts to go south, Schefter added. If Vegas starts 1-5 or 2-8, Schefter's telling us the floodgates open. Maxx Crosby admitted he's a big fan of Bears QB Caleb Williams. Throughout his career, Crosby hasn't hid the fact that he loves making every single quarterback's life a living hell when he steps on the field. Caleb Williams got a taste of that firsthand, with Crosby even picking off our young QB back in their Week 4 battle last season. Despite the on-field battles, make no mistake about it, Crosby holds massive respect for what Caleb is building in Chicago. Just to be open and honest, bro, like we talked about earlier, but respect at a different level, bro. You're one of those guys for sure, and you're just getting started, Crosby said directly to Williams during an episode of the Rush podcast. I don't even know you understand yet how good you can be, and that's the scariest part. You know what I mean? Just keep that mindset, keep doing what you're doing, and you know we're locked in forever. So keep doing your thing, bro. You need me, hit me at any time. It goes vice versa.
That's a superstar defender openly admitting he trusts Caleb as a franchise quarterback he would go to war with on Sundays. You can't say the same about the situation in Las Vegas right now, where things could turn ugly fast during their opening slate of games. Veteran Kirk Cousins got the starting nod over rookie Fernando Mendoza, and insiders know the Raiders need immediate wins to keep their top defensive superstar from demanding a way out. Packing his bags for Illinois was something Crosby would jump on in a heartbeat given the huge respect he's got for our guy under center. If Ryan Poles lets these prime defensive assets walk away while our pass rush sits at the bottom of the league, this defense collapses in January. Hit that subscribe button right now for unfiltered, real-time film and salary cap breakdowns, and drop your take in the comments on whether Poles drops a day 2 pick for Vea or goes all in for Crosby.